are people among us, right now, walking around, who have a perfect memory of all their past lives. Not just vague feelings, but full-blown, vivid recollections. They call themselves infinites. It's mind-blowing, I know. But here's the kicker. This isn't some cozy spiritual journey for them. For the last 300 years, these infinites have been split into two factions, locked in a brutal, unending conflict. On one side, you have the believers. These are the ones who see their unique gift as a responsibility. They dedicate their knowledge, everything they've learned over countless lifetimes, to protecting and growing humanity. They want to leave the world better than they found it. Their leader, a man who will become very important to our story, is Treadway. Then you have the other side, and this is where things get dark. These are the nihilists, led by a man named Barst. Now they see this whole reincarnation thing, this ability to remember endless lives, as a curse. Can you imagine living, dying, and then doing it all over again, with all those memories just flooding your mind, eating away at you? Barst in particular gets all his memories back at once, right there in the womb. He says it's unbearable, an endless prison. So what's his solution? He believes the only way to break free, to stop this cycle permanently, is to wipe out all life on Earth. His logic is chillingly simple. If there are no bodies, no living beings, there's no reincarnation, the ultimate escape. Now let's flash back to 1985, Mexico City. We're right in the middle of a high-stakes chase. This is Treadway himself from the Believers, tearing through the city in a car, pursued by police. His allies, a couple named Abel and Leona, are close behind him, trying to keep pace. They're talking about a stolen artifact, a biological weapon that Bowers created, known simply as the Egg. Treadway, this absolute legend, had infiltrated Borst's secret lab, stolen the egg, and then, get this, he killed the scientists and engineers who helped build it. He basically destroyed Barst's means to recreate this devastating device. So, yeah, he's a target, a big one. Treadway hits a police roadblock, and he knows this is bad. He tells Abel something cryptic, something that will haunt our current story's hero. If I fail, you should check inside yourself for answers. And then, in a move that screams action hero, he launches his car off an unfinished bridge, jumping 150 feet mid-air to latch onto a crane. Abel and Leona, waiting below, are relieved he survived. But that relief is brutally short-lived. A massive truck slams into their car, flipping it over. A man, one of the nihilists, steps out and detonates explosives, killing both Abel and Leona. Treadway can only watch, utterly helpless, as his friends die. Abel's last words to Nora, who we'll meet later as Leona's reincarnation, were a promise. I'll find you in the beginning. I love you. This is the kind of heartbreak that spans lifetimes. Fast forward to present-day 2020, New York City. We meet Evan McCauley. He wakes up from a vivid nightmare, one that feels too real, like a memory. He suffers from schizophrenia, a diagnosis he received at 14 after carving "Look Inside" into his chest. He takes multiple medications daily to manage it. Because of his mental health history and a previous stay in a mental institution after an attempt to commit suicide via car crash, which, ironically, left him with a steel plate in his skull that becomes a pivotal plot point later, he can't get a formal job. So, to afford his meds, Evan does dangerous work. He forges Japanese katanas for local drug dealers. The incredible part? He's never learned the craft. He just knows how to do it, like he's remembering, not learning. He even knows historical facts and complex formulas without ever having studied them, like a walking Wikipedia. One day, he brings a katana to a drug dealer named Ronnie. Ronnie is impressed, but he cheats Evan, giving him fewer pills than promised. Then, to test the blade, Ronnie orders a woman nearby to hold out her hands, planning to slice her. Evan, fueled by the betrayal and sheer anger, explodes. He attacks and defeats Ronnie's guards, helps the woman escape, reclaims his katana, and flees. Ronnie chases him, firing wildly, but Evan gets away. Later, Evan is arrested by the police and taken to an interrogation room. That's when the man from the 1985 scene, Bowers, enters. He just knows Evan. He claims they've known each other since the Second Punic War. Evan, naturally, thinks Bowers is completely delusional. But Bowers is relentless. He presents 5 items, supposedly made by Evan in a past life, trying to trigger his memories. When Evan denies remembering, Bowers loads a gun, threatening to shoot him unless he starts to recall. It's brutal. Under pressure, Evan experiences flashes of past memories, but they're unclear, fractured. Just when things are at their most tense, a car, driven by a woman named Nora, literally crashes into the interrogation room. She breaks Evan's handcuffs and helps him escape. They speed through the city, pursued by Bowers. It's a wild chase, but they manage to lose him and arrive at a private airport. Evan is disoriented, overwhelmed. Nora tells him he's not mentally ill. His visions are actually memories from his past lives. The skills he demonstrates without training, like forging that katana, they come from previous incarnations. She offers him answers, and despite his cynicism, something clicks. He agrees to go with her. On the plane, Nora explains more about the Infinites, the 500 people worldwide who can recall their past lives. She elaborates on the ongoing conflict between the believers and the nihilists. And here's the bombshell. Evan learns he belongs to the believers. In a past life, he was known as Heinrich Treadway, the very same man from that Mexico City chase. The man who died, whose last words were, "Look inside." They arrive at the hub, the believers, headquarters. Nora shows Evan a photo from a past life. In it, Nora is Leona, Abel is her partner, and Evan is Treadway. It's a powerful moment, connecting the fragmented dreams Evan has had his entire life. Evan meets Garrick, the believers, head of technology and research. Garrick takes him to the virtual sandbox, a holographic display that shows the history of Infinites. Standing there, Evan sees Bowerst's past lives. Garrick explains that Treadway and Bowerst were once close allies, friends across a dozen lifetimes, standing together at great moments in human history. But 300 years ago, Bowerst turned against the believers. He lost faith in reincarnation and started searching for a way to end the cycle permanently. That's when he created the Egg, this biological weapon designed to wipe out all life on Earth. It disintegrates DNA, spreading from one organism to another, accelerating extinction. His twisted logic was that killing all living beings, even animals, would eliminate reincarnation altogether. Nora explains that in his last life, Treadway raided Bowerst's lab, stole the egg, and destroyed those who helped build it, leaving Bowerst without the means to recreate it. Treadway then died shortly after, taking the egg's location with him to the grave. So Bowerst has spent this entire lifetime looking for it. Meanwhile, back in New York, Bowerst isn't wasting time. He captures Porter, another Infinite allied with Nora. He tortures Porter, demanding the hub's location, and then kills him. It's clear Bowerst is utterly ruthless, seeing human life as stupidity and a curse. At the hub, Garrick shows Evan the storage facility, where they keep the corpses of former Infinites. Evan is disturbed, and honestly, who wouldn't be? But Nora explains that Treadway believed studying these bodies could reveal untapped human potential. Garrick adds that Treadway once learned to manipulate environmental energy. He developed abilities far beyond normal human limits, abilities buried deep in the subconscious. This is likely how he survived that impossible jump in Mexico back in '85. These powers, this manipulation of energy, will become key for Evan later. Evan begins training to regain these abilities. During his intense sessions, fragments of Treadway's fight with Bowerst from a past life start to return, but his memory remains incomplete, fractured. Evan then visits the weapons lab, where Kovich is reverse engineering a weapon. This weapon is called the Dethroner. It fires bullets that don't just kill the body. They extract the consciousness, the very soul of an Infinite, and store it on a computer chip. This terrifying process prevents reincarnation. Bowerst has already used it to kill over 200 Infinites, storing their consciousness chips in his base, in a digital purgatory. Evan then visits Nora's room. She shows him photos from her past lives. He notices one with a man named Abel. Nora reveals they've been in a relationship across multiple lifetimes, always reuniting at a place they call the beginning, which, get this, is Angkor Wat. Most Infinites, she explains, regain memories of their past lives during puberty, which is exactly when Evan was diagnosed with schizophrenia. When Evan asks about Abel's current status, Nora's voice breaks. She reveals that Abel was killed by a dethroning weapon in a past life, his soul now trapped. The weight of that loss is immense. A love story tragically interrupted across cycles of life. Evan returns to training, desperate to recall where Treadway hid the egg. He starts remembering the crane fight with Bowerst in Mexico, that harrowing leap, but he struggles to fully access Treadway's memories. The hub's memory machine isn't cutting it. His mind is too fractured from the car accident, the electroshock, and the steel plate in his head. Garrick suggests their last hope, finding the Artisan, another Infinite with a device. This device could restore Evan's memories. Evan and Nora leave to locate him. Meanwhile, in New York, Bowerst suspects Evan is regaining his memories. He prepares to raid the hub the very next morning. Bowerst and his forces storm the facility, killing many Infinites and taking hostages. He captures Garrick, revealing they had a romantic history across lifetimes. Bowerst threatens to kill her followers unless she reveals Evan's location. Under immense pressure, she gives in. Evan and Nora find the Artisan behind a casino. The Artisan, a brain researcher now living as a hedonist, initially refuses to help Evan due to a past conflict with Treadway. Can you believe it? Treadway, in a past life, had severed the Artisan's head from his neck, but Nora persuades him, emphasizing the urgency of stopping Bowerst. He eventually agrees. The Artisan places Evan into a memory retrieval machine. This device device is designed to simulate a near-death experience. It submerges the subject in water. The idea is that your life flashes before your eyes, allowing a total mental reboot. It's incredibly dangerous and could kill Evan. Barst, having extracted the information from Garrick, watches everything via security cameras. As the machine activates, Evan begins recovering memories, struggling to breathe. Nora, seeing his vital signs drop, orders the process to stop, just as Evan appears lifeless. She tries to resuscitate him, but he doesn't respond. However, inside his mind, Evan continues to recover Treadway's memories. He experiences the 1985 Mexico City jump again, recalling Treadway's final, cryptic words, "If I fail, look inside." He suddenly wakes up, gasping, and confirms he now remembers everything. And the revelation? The egg is hidden inside his previous body. That's why Treadway left his body with the Believers. It was the ultimate hiding place, the one place Bowerst wouldn't think to look. Bowerst, having monitored the event, sends his men to attack. Evan is shot, but manages to escape with Nora and the artisan. Kovich, the weapons expert, stays behind to hold off Bowerst's forces, sacrificing himself, and is eventually killed with the dethroning weapon. Bowerst then retrieves Treadway's body, removes the egg, attaches it to a bomb, and loads it onto a plane. Evan later wakes up in a safe house, injured and unconscious for some time. The artisan is with him and informs him that Nora left alone to stop Bowerst. Outside Bowerst's compound, Nora sets up a sniper position. She fires, but Bowerst, using his heightened infinite senses, was able to see the laser reflect off his spoon. He evades the shot. Bowerst responds by deploying drones and troops to eliminate her. Nora evades the drones and takes down several enemies, but she's soon overwhelmed. Just in the nick of time, Evan and the artisan arrive. The artisan heroically destroys the drones, and Evan helps Nora into a vehicle. They drive toward Bowerst's compound, facing more of his men at the entrance. Nora gets shot, but Evan eliminates the attackers. Wounded, Nora tells Evan that the consciousness of the dethroned infinites is stored in a chip, and she plans to free them. She urges Evan to stop Bowerst before he triggers a global extinction. Meanwhile, Barst's plane takes off. Evan, in a move that still gives me chills, grabs a motorcycle, chases the aircraft, and launches himself off a cliff. He crashes the bike into one of the plane's turbines, which, by the way, totally screws up Barst's plan. Then, using his katana, he hooks onto the wing. Bowerst tries to shake him off by flipping the plane, but Evan, remember those abnormal powers? He stabilizes himself using his manipulation of environmental energy. He slices open the fuselage with his katana and enters. He locates the bomb, but Barst shoots him in the head before he can disarm it. But here's the wild part, the payoff from Evan's earlier life. The bullet hits a steel plate implanted in his skull from his teenage suicide attempt. It doesn't work. Evan ambushes Barst, deflects bullets with his katana, and they fight. Barst drops the bomb midair, and Evan jumps after it, Barst following closely behind. While falling, Evan manages to gain control of Bowerst's gun and, in a poetic twist of fate, dethrones him, trapping Bowerst's soul on a chip. He then defuses the bomb just before hitting the ocean and dies on impact. Back at the compound, Nora and the artisan, both wounded, eliminate the remaining guards. They reach the chip storage room, where all the dethroned souls are kept. Nora rigs it with explosives and tells Artisan to escape. She detonates the charges, freeing the dethroned souls but sacrificing herself in the process. She chooses to reincarnate, hoping to return alongside Abel at his age. A desperate, beautiful act of faith. And the ending, folks? Years later, Nora and Abel reunite at the beginning, Angkor Wat, just as they promised each other. A truly heartwarming reunion, their love story continuing. And Treadway? He is reborn in Jakarta, Indonesia. He is now a young boy, a sword-fighting prodigy. An older artisan visits him and hands him a katana. And with that simple act, this young boy, the new Treadway, reveals he has regained his past memories. He looks at the artisan with the wisdom of countless lives in his eyes and says, "Artisan, what took you so long? See you soon, Treadway." So what does it all add up to? If each new life is a chance to build on what was, a chance to press forward to the best of what could be, why do some of them have to pick up the sword and fight again, while others discover a new beginning? I think what I learned from this whole wild story is hope. Yes, they fall. Yes, they fail. Yes, sometimes they screw up everything they touch. But each moment they live, each life they experience, is connected by a belief that the actions they take today, next week, next life will add up to something more, something bigger than themselves. Because next, well, the possibilities are infinite. That's what I'm left pondering. Are we too living out our own infinite stories, learning, failing, hoping, just without the memories to connect the dots? It's a heavy thought, but also, isn't it kind of beautiful?